Then next in line is, so this is a new category in the show. We were looking at the underdog mixer. And, you know, what we want to do here is we want to pick out some of the mixers that have got a whole lot of recipes out there, but potentially not so many reviews, to, you know, just get them into the spotlight and, you know, have a look at what they have to offer and what juices they have out there. And Richard selected JuiceFairy. So unfortunately, I looked at all JuiceFairy's recipes, and I had first rule on everything. So there was 1 or 2 concentrates on every single recipe. Some of those recipes are extremely complex, where I would have about 50% of the concentrates and the other 50 not. She or he, whoever it is, you know, there's definitely complexity in their recipes. There's a lot of concentrates, but not at high percentages in there, which is very interesting. I don't see a lot of that. But yeah, Richard, what did you mix up?
Okay, I don't know if we can call JuiceFairy an underdog as such, being that she hosts Mix and Vixens. Mm-hmm. I take it that JuiceFairy is Jennifer Winstead, who is a host of Mix and Vixens. Mm-hmm. The reason I chose her, not necessarily because she's a low-profile mixer, but because of all the recipes, and she's got 2 full pages of recipes at all the flavors. She's got like 2 ratings, which struck me as being a little bit odd. So I thought I'd mix up some of her stuff just to get a better idea. The other thing that alerted me to her on an episode of Noted a couple of weeks back, Chiba Stiba mixed up a recipe, and he mixed up one of hers, and his immediate conclusion was that it's a very well crafted and well balanced recipes, as one would expect, you know, from a veteran mixer who hosts a podcast. So I mixed up 2 of hers. I also had first roll on a lot of stuff, but there were 2 that I have all the ingredients. One was her Derailed Suicide Bunny remix, and the other was her Morning Moo. So let me start with the Derailed Suicide Bunny. I've never vaped the original, so that's a bit of a setback. But for me, it's irrelevant. A juice is good or not, whether it's close to the original or not. If it's a good profile and they nail it, then it doesn't matter to me what the original tastes like. I base the remix on how it stands on its own. There's a fair amount going on here. We've got TFA Banana Cream, FW Butterscotch Natural, Cap Cinnamon Danish Swirl, TFA Rice Crunchies, TFA Vanilla Custard, and TFA Meringue. So it's kind of a cinnamon bakery with a lot of thickness behind it. The TFA Vanilla Custard, it's got a little bit of sweetness from the meringue. It's got a little bit of crunch from the Rice Crunchies, and then a lot of smoothness from the banana cream. And the moment I vaped this, I came to the same conclusion as Chiba. This is a very, very well crafted and well balanced recipe. What I get from it, with the very first vape from it, I get just a little bit of that metallic cap cinnamon Danish swirl cinnamon, you know, that slightly metallic feel that the cap has. So it's a little bit stingy on the first drag, but thereafter it smooths out beautifully. And what I really like about this is I'm not tasting the individual ingredients. I do get a little bit of the cinnamon Danish swirl. That is the top note, if there is to be a top note in it. But the banana cream, the vanilla custard, the meringue, the rice crunchies, and the butterscotch natural all blend into a very cohesive, very rich, very smooth, creamy base that just supports that cap cinnamon Danish swirl. It's a superb bakery mix. I mean, I can see myself killing this bottle very, very quickly. And the reason it's so superb is because the whole is more than the sum of the parts. You know, that for me is the test of when a recipe has been crafted well, is when you're not tasting the different ingredients, they merge into something that is bigger than the sum of the ingredients. And this recipe manages that really, really well. If you're into rich, dense, creamy bakeries, but still very definitely a bakery with that strong sort of baked element to it, this is an extremely well-crafted recipe. After that, I tried the.
Sorry, can I?
Sorry.
How long did you steep it for?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. It's quite interesting because, you know, like a lot of mixers, they go on like the minimum steep time, where JuiceFairy, she goes and says, you know, steep is minimum 2 weeks, but 4 weeks is the best, you know. Which is quite interesting. Like you don't get that often, because a lot of guys just want people to mix this stuff up, you know.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting recipe. Like definitely, I'm short on one flavor, but I'll get it in to try it because I ran out of rice crunchies. But,
oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't register strongly in this, but it needs to be in there. You know, it's another thing with this recipe. Everything needs to be in there. And again, it just shows kind of the, you know, the black art behind mixing, that folk art gets TFA banana cream to register so clearly at, what was it, 1.5% in his Bosch Reserve clone.
Yeah.
This recipe has it at 5, and you're not getting that strong banana cream. Look, it's there. If you look for it, it's there, but it's not, you know, it's not dominating. And that is the benefit of someone who can craft a recipe really well. The second one of hers I tried is Morning Moo Juice. This is, again, TFA banana cream. It's FA blood orange. It's FA cream fresh, FA meringue, liquid bar and strawberry cheesecake, cap vanilla bean ice cream, and cap vanilla whipped cream. What it is, it's an extremely thick and rich breakfast smoothie. You've got all the creams in there, and the cheesecake giving you that nice thick smoothie base. The top note is that blood orange just peaks out above everything else. If you're going to vape this blind, you'll say straight away there's an orange in there. What the banana cream and the liquid barn strawberry cheesecake do is they just pull that zesty, sharp blood orange back into smooth, syrupy candy territory. They give you a very appealing, bright, but not overly bright orange top note, and then underneath it, this very warm, blended, smooth, rich cream base that it sits on. And this is, you know, in real life, if I was going to have a breakfast smoothie, this is what I'd want. There's nothing off about it. The balance is, again, superb. The way that the fruit note just sits on top of the cream. It doesn't dominate the cream. The cream doesn't interfere with that orange top note that comes through. So again, we're looking at someone who's taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 flavors and molded them into a very cohesive whole. The orange is really the only thing that stands out as a discernible flavor, obviously with a cream base underneath, but the cream, you know, straight away is a mix of several different ingredients. It's just that orange that just peaks out, but it's a delightful mix. The other nice thing about her mixes, neither of them have sweetener, but the sweetness level in both is absolutely bang on. If you, someone who doesn't like adding prodigious amounts of sweetener to try and get stuff to pop, these recipes work beautifully as is. No sweetener is needed. I suppose if you wanted sweetener, you could add maybe, 0.25 of Cap Super Sweet. But there's nothing wrong with the sweetness level of these. I don't use sweetener at all, and these are perfect for me. Sweetness level is great.
Yeah, I find it interesting because I'm like looking at a lot of her recipes where you can see they're really well crafted. Where like it's a strawberry, banana, and orange, right, smoothie. But instead of using a strawberry like a strawberry top note and then a cheesecake and then adding on these layers, she found like a way to subtract it and use one flavoring that contains, everything that you need in there, which is, it's smart. Like it's, instead of using two concentrates to achieve it, you can use one, to achieve the same result. So it's like, you could see like things have been like thought out and they've been worked on, It's not just somebody popping a recipe up and saying, okay, there's the recipe. It's been batched, you can see work's been done. Like,
yeah, this is the thing that I take away from it. A lot of recipes get published because the person tried their first take on it and there weren't off notes, and it sort of kind of worked. So, okay, the recipe's done. Let's release it. This, you can see, there's work that's gone into this in balancing.
Absolutely. When I started going through the recipes and, one after the other, I thought, wow, this looks really amazing, but there's no way in hell I can mix this, And then I started looking at one, which was the one, I think that's the one that you also just had one ingredient in there that you couldn't mix, Daniel. That was the rice crunchies.
There's another one that I see that she's got, which I think is like really interesting, which ID Tainty gave it 5 stars. Yeah. So it's one that she does have a rating on from a big mixer, where it's the mango melon chew, right? And like in my mind, like if we had to approach the same recipe, at least 90% of mixers are going to look, okay, I'm going to need a jelly candy to create the chew, right? And then what mango do I put in and what melon do I put in? But like her approach, she used melon cantaloupe from FA, which has got a chewy, like she's using the flavors that have that that already has that chewy, that element to it, and she'll use that as the the binding note for the chewiness. And then adding things like vanilla swirl just to bring the cream up, bring the flavors forward, because when you put a chew in your mouth, you get a lot of like saliva build up, which creates like that creaminess, So like it's things like that I find like really innovative. Instead of going and saying, okay, I've got 27 beers, let me just add a mango to it, let me add a melon to it, some sweetener, and I'm good to go. Where this has been like thought through. Let's look at like what flavors can I use that brings that element to it.
It's kind of like the limit of my experience right now. That's where I'm at,
Yeah.
No, it's very clear that she's worked a lot with flavors, that she understands the flavors in her stash very, very well, and that she's chosen them. With some mixes, you get the impression that they use the flavor because it's the only kiwi or the only cookie or whatever that they had in their stash. With her mixes, I get the feeling that everything is there for a reason, and she had 6 or 7 alternatives that she could have used, but she's chosen that flavor for a very specific reason. These are both very well crafted juices, very, very well. And it surprised me that she doesn't get more ratings, because this is a mixer who knows what she's doing.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. So let's jump to the next category, guys, which is concentrates. Now, in here, we just want to talk about the really good ones and the really bad ones. So it's not just going to be just another note show. If we actually haven't tried anything that was super amazing or super not amazing, we're not going to talk about it in that episode. But I've discovered something. I've gone on the Malaysian kick in quite a big way. I've been vaping a lot of the nasty juices. I think I've got one of them right here. This is Combat. This is one of the nasty line. what I find very different in their juices is how, it's such a completely different style of mixing. Instead of using a lot of layers to create complexity, they've got a concentrate which already is deep enough, a fruit concentrate which is already deep enough and complex enough where, just by adding a few additives to it, you can create a really good mix. I've gone through a hell of a lot of mangoes. I'm not even going to name all of them, but where I've ended up is with Cloudburst Effects Double Mango. And so I've mixed that up here at 6%, and I've added a touch of sweetener to it, 0.5%. And you can add some WS-23 to it, but for me, it's a really good mango in the sense that when I'm chasing a mango, I'm not chasing a candy mango. I'm looking for a mango, ripe mango, not overly ripe mango that you've picked off a tree and you just bite into it, opposed to a prepackaged mango which is not that ripe. Something that you would find in Woolworths, for instance. That if you eat those chunks of mango, they're not that ripe. There's nothing wrong with them. But when I'm chasing a mango flavor, I want that ripeness to it. And I think I found it in CBE mango or double mango. I've also pushed it really high. I've pushed it to about 8%, and it holds really, really well. I know that the Malaysians are going quite high with their concentrates. I know if you do the same thing with some of the concentrates, of fruits where there's slight off notes, those are going to become very prominent in your mix. But with CBE Double Mango, now this is Cloudburst Effects. I think it is a Malaysian concentrate company. We'll talk about that now. But it held very well, and it's definitely going to replace juicy mango, or excuse me, sweet mango Capella in my stash.
Yeah, I've tried that one from Marvin in the group. So he bought it specifically because he was looking for like a really good mango. And like I must say, so I think he added 5% in a mix. And it wasn't an overly complex mix. He did like a really simple, WS-23 with mango. And what I really liked about it is the potency level. So like I sometimes buy fruits and I think Cap Mango suffers from it, but Cap Lychee suffers from it a lot. Is you can crank it up as high as you want. It's just it needs like more flavor, or more fruits to bring it out. It's like that's a lot of like the center stage concentrate versus something that's just a supporting note, which I find Cap Sweet Mango or Cap Sweet Lychee to be that.
The first thing that struck me about this, and shout out to Theo for giving me a bottle of it, he split his stash and gave me some of his CBE Double Mango, which was most appreciated. But the first thing that struck me was when I opened the concentrate bottle and smelled it, and I thought, this is now a mango flavor. Mangoes have that, it's like a chemical, sweet, mushy, it's the aroma of the actual mango flesh, not of the pip and not of the skin. It's that absolutely trademark, sharp but pleasant mango flesh note. And when I smelled that, I thought, this has got to be good. So I mixed it up at 5%. My tester there, you can't see that anyway. I mixed it up at 5%, and I'm vaping it as is. I mean, I haven't even put WS-23 or anything in it. As is, it's a full-bodied, juicy, sweet, rich, ripe, but not overripe. Just a perfect mango flavor. Has Dave tried this ID10T?
I don't think he would have, because my problem is like no one knows where it comes from, right? Like we know it's not Wrecker because I think the Wrecker's already got WS23 mixed in, where this is like a plain mango flavoring. There's no additives in it already, you know. So like until somebody can figure out where that, like what flavor company it actually is, because CBE Effects is, they're buying from a Malaysian company and repackaging here, okay, and relabeling. So we need like in order for him to try it, we'd have to figure out, you know, which one is. And for all we know, it is something he's tried, but because we don't know what the housing company is, we wouldn't know, you know.
If Dave had tried this, the mango show would have been that flavor and that flavor only. He would have, he would have said, "I bathe in this." I mean, you know, Dave has a strange palate. Sometimes he tastes things that other people don't. But I cannot see him not liking this. I really, really cannot see him not liking this.
So what was the better one in the mango show? I haven't watched that show.
He's a big fan of Flavora. I mean, he says it's flawed, but he likes using it. But there are others he likes as well. TFA Philippine, you know, cap it at very low levels. There are several mangoes that he uses. But, you know, I like my mangoes as well. I've tried several, and this blows everything else away. It kills everything else that I've tasted.
Yeah, it kills Flavora mango for me as well. Like Flavora mango is very... It's weird to explain because it's not like the other concentrates where you got the flesh, but it's a very like peachy mango rather than a fully fledged mango, like, you know, that juicy ripe mango.
So Daniel, you also tried Friendiy mango shake. Now that we're talking about Malaysian stuff, right? Friendiy is another brand that is a imported line that has been relabeled, and we don't really know what the hell it is.
Yes. So I like as a mango, it's good, but it's not like a fully fledged on its own thing that I can rock. You know, it needs a lot of work. Where I do see it coming in handy is if I mix it with CBE, a double mango, I might be able to get the exact mango shake that I'm after. Personally, like, I didn't like mango vapes. I had like an e-liquid that was a mango vape. Didn't enjoy it. Never really eaten mango as a food. So it's interesting to see that there are mangoes that I like, and it's only now that I'm discovering them. You know, so I like mango shake. It's got almost like a base to work upon. Let's put it that way. You know, like now I can look at adding yogurt and then create a mango lassi, and then adding another mango in, but as like something that can bind, you know, a cream and a mango together. That's where I see it working like well.
The Friendiy for me, because I've also tried the mango shake. It was the best of the Friendiys that I tried. But for me, it has very much that mango nectar vibe. It's a mango juice, whereas CBE Double is mango fruit. So I would probably add a little bit of CBE to a lot of Friendiy if I wanted to make a beverage, and I would add maybe a little bit of Friendiy to a lot of CBE if I wanted to make actual chunks of fruit.
So in my mind, like when I approach something like a shake, like so there's three shakes, right? You're either going to get like the fully fledged fruit mixed with milk, or milk, ice cream and milk, right? And that's blended. And then you've got like a full-on made from fruit. There's no syrup to it. And then you get the one where it's just syrup and ice cream, right? So like the one is like your artisan, like really expensive milkshake. The one is just sperm milkshake. But then what I have seen is like that in between, where even though they're still adding fruit, they still add a syrup in, right? And that's kind of like how I chase my milkshakes, is that like I want a bit of authenticity, but I also want my syrup quality to it, which is why I say like using that as the base and then adding in a real fruit flavor gets me there, you know, with like a whipped cream, where I see like vanilla whipped cream working really well, and then you've got like a banger mango shake.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll give it a go. I haven't been playing around with a lot of creams in this, but it does it does blend well. So I have used this with TFA banana cream, and I used it with a little bit of citric acid as well. But I actually don't think the citric acid is necessary. You can use the CBE Double Mango with TFA banana cream, and you will be very close, very, very close to the nasty profile. I used it at 8% for CBE Double Mango and 3% for banana cream, right? Then you can add sweetness to that and coolant to that if you want, but that pretty much gets you very close to that nasty mango banana. It's really in your face. It's something else.
Is that the Kush? What's it? Kushman.
Yeah,
Kushman. Yeah. Okay, I did try it.
You can walk into a shop, like a vape shop, and you can immediately pick out somebody's vaping Kushman in there. You know what I mean? It's just so. I don't know how to explain it. It's the flavor is just so pungent, but instead of it being overboard, there's just something you can't get enough about it, so I think Richard, it might be on the sweeter side. I'm sure they're close to about 2% sweetener in there. If it's not already, if they only have 1% in there, it means there's already a percent built in, but it's freaking sweet, Yeah. But if you can ever, if you ever want to buy some commercial, go and check that one out.
Yeah, I must say the CBE Double Mango for me is a perfect level of sweetness as is. I mean, it replicates the fruit pretty well. My only concern with it is how well it's going to mix. I mean, I hear you that it mixes well with banana cream, and you've tried it with WS and so on. I'm just wondering if one mixes it with a couple of other fruits, if it's not just going to completely dominate everything else, because it really is distinctive.
Yes.
This is not a flavor that's going to play second fiddle to anything else.
No.
Yeah, like in my mind, like I would pair it up with more potent flavors. For one, jungle flavors honey peach is a potent peach. Okay, so it's something that you can put side to side, where you wouldn't be able to mix this with a Fuji apple even, because it will overrun something as potent as Fuji apple.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I've got some jungle flavors honey peach. A little bit of a harsh. I think there's a harshness to it, but now that you mention it's there, the fleshiness of that could work quite well here.
Yeah. What percentage do you mix your jungle flavors honey peach at?
I can't remember. I think I was using that to mix up your clone of NVC.
The 2.5%. Okay.
Did I just say NVC?
We'll keep it that way. No copyright strikes.
I have the NVC one shot here, so I do support them. I've actually tried the both of them next to each other. There is something else in NVC that I can't pick out.
Yeah, the thing is, like, so I was after the reimagined line that he did, which is peach mango. So if I'm going to rework it now, there's a lot of mangoes on the market that I prefer than what I used in there. But the thing with honey peach is like either needs a long steep, so it's like 2.5% is quite high, where I've used it at 1% and it can overrun our recipe. Yeah, so it's quite a potent flavor.
It is potent, yeah, but it's also one of those where you just open up the concentrate and it's just honey peach.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, guys, that pretty much concludes the show. Thank you very much for joining in. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks, guys.
Cool. Thanks, man.